We have reached that time of the season again. The January transfer window especially can often be make or break for your club's season. If you want to try and go out and get that extra striker that you desperately need, I think you know who I'm talking about. Nottingham Forest are probably in that bracket. Forest are already linked with plenty of players, Victor Osimhen being the most outlandish one that I've found. I very much doubt that's going to happen. I'm not even going to make a graphic for it because I think it's that unrealistic. But he's currently on loan at Galatasaray from Napoli. Yeah, that's not happening. Only, you know what, I wouldn't even put it past Marinakis, to be honest. Now, I'll take a look at the more believable rumours in just a moment, but looking at the Forest squad and where we're at the start of the transfer window, I mean, we're in a very, very good place, let's be honest. Really, really good looking squad, strong squad of players there. And there's only really, I think, one glaringly obvious place. I think you all know that we want to sign a player. It's obviously striker. Now, obviously, Chris Wood is one of the best players in the league right now. One of the best strikers I think Forest have had. And that isn't even really too far. He's our all-time Premier League goal scorer nowadays. So he is crucial. But Taiwo Awoniyi is not what he was, and he can only really get games now off substitute appearances where you're kind of feeding off scraps. But then again, when he has started games, he's not really took those opportunities. So is it over for Taiwo? Is he going to be on his way out this window? I wouldn't be surprised, and it is quite sad because we all know how good Taiwo was before he had one of his many injuries, which seemed to be a bit of a massive game changer for him. So striker is the clear, and definitely if we have to sign one player this window, it's definitely there. And I don't think we need to be signing many at all, if I'm honest. I think 2 or 3 are to push, because I think we need to keep that squad harmony together. We don't need to be going crazy. I think the squad is clearly more than at a good enough level to compete at a very high level in the Premier League. There are a few rumblings that we want to sign a fullback, because ultimately Ola Aina is incredible, and just to mention him, he is in talks to sign a new contract with us, which is huge news. Nico Williams only continues to get better. Alex Moreno's on loan, but I think there's a pretty good chance he's going to stay permanently. So 3 excellent fullbacks there, but then I do think the quality is a little bit less in the likes of Harry Toffolo and Eric Da Silva Moreira. We don't really know what he's about yet. He's still very raw, he's very young. And, I mean, we all love Harry Toffolo, right? But he's not really getting many minutes. So for his own sake, I wouldn't be surprised if we loaned him out this transfer window or even sold him with his contract up in the summer. I'd like to keep Toffolo, but that's probably me being sentimental. Now, there has still been rumoured interest that Newcastle wants to sign Anthony Elanga. Of course, we rejected a very late bid from Newcastle for him in the summer window. And at the time, I was very pleased we did that. Most this season, a lot of people have said, why didn't we accept the bid from Newcastle? Because Elanga had been pretty disappointing. But of late, I'll be very disappointed if we let go of Elanga now. I know that's being fickle, but I never doubted that Elanga had quality, he just wasn't in very good form. So, unless we got a really good fee for him, I don't know what would be a good fee for him. Let me know in the comments again. I want to hear your thoughts on everything. But I'd like to keep Anthony Elanga at least until the summer. I don't want this to come back and bite me, but I don't see us letting go of genuinely any key player this January. Maybe someone like Anthony Elanga, but I just don't see us selling. So looking at a few rumours. Evan Ferguson from Brighton, 20 years of age. This probably would be a loan. And first and foremost, I like Evan Ferguson. And I think that would be a really interesting signing and would definitely fit the profile of player that I think Forest have typically gone for. And it's somebody that I don't think would come in and necessarily definitely want to dislodge Chris Wood, but surely could offer some pretty strong competition. And it's been an interesting story for Evan Ferguson, because when he first came on the scene at Brighton, he was a superstar. He was really being spoken about in very high terms that he could be the next big thing, but has kind of fell down for him this season. Has had injuries. End of last season, he had quite a long-term injury, which I don't think helped. This season he's only scored 1 goal in 14, so that's not great to hear that. But 79 appearances overall for Brighton and 17 goals. I don't like to just bombard you with stats to say that a player is good enough or not, but could this be like another Callum Hudson-Odoi situation? Ola Aina, you know, even Anthony Elanga, a player that, you know, were either out of favour to big club, and I know Brighton aren't Chelsea or Man United, but like a player that's had a lot of potential and has had a bit of a dip. We've clearly got a good record at getting the best out of players like that. For me, though, it wouldn't really make much sense if this didn't have a buy option in it, because if he's only 20, it's a bit like when we signed Rodrigo Ribeiro last year on loan. It made no sense. He was 18, no experience in this country, no buy option, barely played. It was a bit of a pointless signing. With Ferguson, obviously he's got plenty of Premier League experience and he's older than Ribeiro was. But I still think that someone that age, you want to be ideally keeping. He's clearly a very talented player. He's even scored against Forest at the City Ground last season. So, yeah, come back to the City Ground and do that. But in a Garibaldi shirt, I wouldn't mind that. Now, I've spoken about striker and fullback. This guy coming up isn't either of those. So I'm not entirely sure if we need him or not. But a very exciting player, to say the least, and someone that I would like to see at the club. James McAtee from Manchester City, attacking midfielder. So he is an attack, but not striker. So, yeah. He's also 20, valued at 25 million, according to multiple reports that I've seen. Man City do appear quite reluctant to sell, and plenty of Man City fans, all 12 of them, they all seem quite reluctant for City to sell McAtee, which I think has got to be a good thing. Plenty of interest in this player as well. Newcastle, West Ham, Crystal Palace, Brentford and Bayer Leverkusen have all shown interest in this player in recent months even. But he is a very exciting player to watch. Very direct, very quick, skillful on the ball. Likes a long shot, as you've seen in the clips that you've just seen on the screen. Really exciting player. I just don't entirely know how he'd fit into proceedings. Does this mean that one of Danilo or Sangara aren't going to be back for a long time still, or Ward-Prowse is going to go out the door? We want to play Morgan or Anderson, most likely Anderson, deep much more often. And then we have McAtee as like a backup to Morgan. That's the only way I see it working, is we let go of one, or maybe not let go of 2 midfielders, but like, again, one of Danilo or Sangara are actually going to be out for some time still. That's the only thing that I think makes any sense with this. Not doubting the quality of McAtee, but let me know what you think of that one in the comments. Now, another striker we're being linked with is Petar Musa, currently playing over in the MLS for FC Dallas, 26 years of age. Normally, I'd say a player from the MLS, you know, is he up to the level to play in the Premier League? But he has actually played a lot of games in Europe before this current season. 66 games for Benfica and 17 goals. So he has got pedigree in Europe and in European football as well. Leicester are also interested in signing Musa. Again, this one, I'm not sure how likely it is, but I have seen it rumoured quite a bit. And having looked at his highlight reel, which isn't always entirely accurate, does look like a really exciting player, honestly, and I think could be a very good understudy to Chris Wood. Now, another one is Yuri Alberto. Would you believe it? He's a Brazilian striker, and not the only one in this video actually I'm going to be talking about. 19 million rated, plays for Corinthians. Number of Premier League clubs actually interested in him: West Ham, Everton, Newcastle, Brentford, all showing an interest in Alberto. So he's at an age where he's got that experience, but he's still got plenty of years left ahead of him to get much better, you'd think. 148 appearances for Corinthians, who are, well, one of the biggest clubs in Brazil and South America. 57 goals. Of course, the club that we signed Murillo from. So we've got a very good track record when signing Brazilian players in general. Obviously Murillo, Danilo, Morato, yeah. Lots of players that end in O, really. Does look like a really, you know, hot prospect for sure. I mean, 23 is a bit more than that, I suppose, but does look like a good option. I think it's always a bit of a concern whether players can make the step up to the Premier League when they come from such a different climate like Brazil, like Scarpa. Didn't really work at all for him. But I'm not going to judge, you know. I don't know how likely this one is. Plenty of interest from plenty of Premier League clubs, so I always think that's a useful thing to see, but let's just wait and see on that one. Caio Elias, another Brazilian striker, this time a lot younger, 18 years of age, worth 25 million apparently, and plays for Fluminense, again in Brazil of course. Contracts until 2029, 44 games for Fluminense, 7 goals. This is the club that's developed the likes of Richarlison, João Pedro, Evan Nielsen. You know, these are all players that have gone on to play in the Premier League and do play in the Premier League now. Again, I don't really watch the Brazilian Serie A, would you believe it, that much. But I do know a little bit more about him than Alberto, because there has been a very good and in detail thread on X or Twitter done about Elias, and really looks encouraging, to be honest. Can score a range of goals with his head, with his feet. I know, that kind of sums it up, doesn't it, for a striker. Moussa Ndiaye plays for Anderlecht in the Belgium League, so we're back closer to home now. 22 years of age, he's a left back. So again, talking about how Toffolo could be maybe an excellent backup to the likes of Nico and obviously Alex Moreno. And obviously Nico's playing on the left right now, but if you had Ndiaye, he could be on the left, have Nico as like technically the other conventional right back, but obviously him and Aina can both play on the right too, so we would be well stacked when it comes to left backs. Might even be a 5-year deal for Ndiaye, might be up to 8.5 million, I heard. I've seen a number of reports suggesting that it could be that sort of price range. A former Barcelona academy player, never actually played for the senior team. Looks very calm and measured on the ball. Is somebody that I have seen a bit more than the Brazilian guys, for example. So, yeah, I think it would be a good option, possibly. Did go to the World Cup with Senegal, but didn't play. So, doesn't really mean anything, does it? If you have enjoyed this video, everyone, please hit the like button, subscribe to Rads if you're new. Do also become a channel member. We've actually got quite a lot now, which I didn't think would happen. So I appreciate every one of you that has signed up to that. It just goes a very long way to supporting the channel. And yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. There will be, of course, the Wolves reaction on Monday, not even at the weekend. So stay tuned for that, and plenty of these transfer videos across the month of January. Thanks for watching, and up the Rads.